Hi everyone, welcome to this module on OCI tags. My name is Rohit Rai and I'm part of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure team. So when it comes to tagging in OCI, there are two kinds of tags which are supported today. The first category would be familiar to folks who have worked with other cloud vendors, and that's the concept of free-form tags. So this is a basic implementation and it basically consists of a key and a value. So right here you have a compute instance and you have couple of tags which you have applied. The first tag says the key is environment, the value is production. The second tag says project, the value is alpha, and you can see these two tags here, right? It's really simple, free form. You can define whatever tags you really like. Now with OCI, there's a differentiated feature which is called define tags, and this gives you more features, more control. And let's see how it's implemented. So the first thing you do is you have this concept of namespaces. So you have a namespace here which says operations, you have a namespace here which says human resources, and you within the namespace you have sort of a schema where it says you can define your tag keys. So in this case it's an environment. You could say what kind of value is supported here. In the second tag key is project, you can specify a value, and so on and so forth. The whole idea is when you use define tags, you have sort of a schema and you can secure them with policy. Later on I'll show you a slide where we talk about how you can secure them using policies, OCI policies. So let's dive a little deeper into the tag namespace. As we saw, tag namespace is nothing but a container for a set of keys, tag keys with tag key definitions. Now, what does that look like? The tag key definition specifies its keys. So in this case, we defined a namespace called operations, and we have a key which is called environment, and we could specify what kind of values are supported for this key, right? So for right here we could say that it's a string, or we could say it's a text or a number, and so on and so forth, right? The way you would specify the tags now is with a namespace dot key, and then you provide a value for that particular tag. Now, tag key definition or a tag namespace cannot be deleted, but you can retire them. And once you retire these, either the namespace or the tag keys, you cannot use them, but you can again reactivate them, and you can use them again. So let's see how you work with these defined tags. So as we saw earlier, defined tags consist of a tag namespace, a key, and a value. We just saw in previous two slides. The tag namespace and the tag key definition must be set up in your tenancy by someone. Maybe it's a compartment admin, maybe it's a tenancy admin who sets it up so you as users can use them. Tag key can have a tag value type of string, or it can also have a list of values from which the user must choose. So now you also can provide options where the user only chooses a specific set of values, gets an option to choose from that specific set of values. You can also use a variable to set the value of a tag. When you add the tag to a resource, the variable resolves to the data it represents. For example, if you have a namespace called operations and you have a key called cost center, for the value you could specify something like this: im.principal.name at oci.datetime, where when you add this tag to a resource, the variable resolves to your username, that's IAM principal name, and the date stamp for when you added the tag. So this just makes again gives you the flexibility to use tags in a variety of ways. So let me just quickly go to and I'll be using this, so let me just copy this quickly. Let me just quickly go into our console and show a couple of these things, how you could use them. So the first thing is you want to find you want to use let's say the tag namespaces. Using just normal free form tags is pretty straightforward. Let's use something which is on the namespaces we just looked at. So let's say you want to create a namespace. You as an admin could define that. So let's say this namespace we want to create here. Let's say it's called marketing, and this is a tag namespace for marketing purposes. You create a namespace definition, right? And as part of marketing, then you could create different tag keys. So you could say campaign. This is a key to define the campaign. And right here, you could provide a static value, or you could provide a list of values. So let me provide a list of values here. And I could say this is my campaign for North America, or this is my campaign for EMEA, and so on and so forth, right? I could actually define these values, and now I create a tag key definition. Now let's say if a user, so I already did this, right? And let's say if a user now comes in here and wants to create for this marketing org, they are creating let's say a resource. So I go into my training compartment, which I've been using until now, and I'll see a bunch of these virtual cloud networks here. Let's say I want to create a marketing VCN, virtual cloud network. Now I can come here, I can specify a CIDR block. I'm just creating a simple network without getting into subnets and route tables, etc. Right now, right here, this is true with all the resources you have in OCI. I have a place which shows the tag namespaces, and I could use a freeform tag. You could do that, or I could pick one from the namespaces we just have in the system, which my admins have created. So the admins have created this. The admin has created this namespace for marketing. So I pull that up, and right away you can see the tag keys here. And because it was a tag key which had a set of values, specific values, I could pick these values from here: North America, EMEA, and APAC. So let's say I choose North America, I could create a virtual cloud network here, right? And if I come down here, I can see that there is a tag which says marketing dot campaign. This is my namespace, this is my key, and the value is North America. Now I could add tags here, right? And let's want to add a freeform tag. It's really simple as well, right? You could just come here and you could specify let's say cost center is a freeform tag. You could specify a value, and you could add a tag like that, right? So there are various ways you would use the tags within OCI. Hopefully, it gives you a flavor of how defined tags help you with gives you more flexibility. Now last thing I want to show here is how you secure these with policies, because we talked about that, right? So in the previous slides we have talked about how you define policies for different users. So in this case, let's say there's a group called instance launchers, which just by name it means that these are users who are creating instances, and they you need to write policies where they can create and delete instances and so on and so forth, right? And they are using virtual network family, so it just use here. They are using the block volume, so there's the keyword use here, but they're creating and deleting instances, so there is the keyword manage here. Now you could secure your defined tags with policies as well, right? So for example, if you want these users to use namespaces, but you could just leave it there, or you could make it conditional and more powerful. So you could say that the target namespace name, remember this is the example of a complex policy. We talked about request dot operation and target dot name. Those are the two keywords you use with variables. So you could say target dot tag namespace name. So the name of the tag namespace is operations. So now if they launch the users in this particular group, they launch an instance, they can apply the operations namespace tags, and anything which comes under the operations namespace, whether it's a cost center key or a project key or a region key or the other keys you defined, they can apply those tags within that namespace. So again, it gives you a little bit more power, because it's not just free form tags, but you could define tags. You can have some consistency. Users can choose from certain values, and you can also secure them using policies. So who can apply the tags? You could control that. Well, with that, this concludes our lecture series on OCI identity and access management. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for joining this lecture series. If you have time, please join the next lecture series on virtual cloud network. Thank you.